Hi, I'm Daniel Lucas, and welcome to Book 101 Review. Book 101 is all about the books that I read for the last 40 years, and today I have my special guest. He's award-winning author and the author of the book The Joy of Writing Journal, no other than Miss Lisa Tener. Welcome to Book 101, Miss Lisa, and can you please introduce more about yourself?
I'd love to, Daniel. Thank you for having me. So I am a book coach. I help people write and publish their books, both people who are independently publishing and those who want to go the traditional route and get a traditional book deal. And I served on Harvard Medical School's CME publishing course for over a dozen years, where I taught workshops on book writing and on book proposal writing. And I also teach my private classes. And I am a creativity catalyst. So I really help people get in that state of creative flow and get their best inspiration. And I love to journal myself. And that was some of the inspiration behind the Joy of Writing journal.
Miss Lisa Tener, thank you so much for sharing your talents to the world. So let's talk about the Joy of Writing journal. What is the main purpose?
It's really to get in touch with and spark your creativity. And we all have 8 minutes a day, right? People spend a lot more time than that scrolling social media and other activities. So if you want to get more creative, just give yourself 8 minutes, and you can take a little more if you want, and use one of the prompts in this book, and you will find that you can write every single day and really tap into that creative spark for other activities, whether you're writing a book or you're painting, or you just want to be more creative at work, or some healing work or personal growth work. It works for all of that.
Certainly. So, how does this journal help writers develop creativity?
Well, it's really simple. I thought about, first of all, I wrote this book during COVID and felt like people needed inspiration. They needed to have a little uplift and also needed to feel connected. So one of the things I did in this book was to include QR codes where they can just scan the code with their phone and have immediate access to some videos or audio meditations to help connect them to other writers and their inspiration behind the prompt, and also to in the case of the audio meditations, to kind of take a little journey with me and tap into their creativity. So there is a prompt every day, and there's also either a video or audio every day, and an opportunity to tap in with ease. So most of the prompts really have you start with list making. List 5 things that bring you joy. Let's see, what are some of the others? List things that happened this week that you could write about. And then after you do, or list, this is sparking joy. List 5 things that journaling or writing does for you, or that you hope it'll do for you. So when you make that list, then you can just pick one of those and write about it with the prompt. And so that's sort of, I think making a list is easy, so it gets you writing right away. But then you don't have to do the one thing you thought of. You've got a list now of 5 to 10 things, and it's much easier to find, okay, what of those 10 things inspires me? And you're going to find at least one, probably several.
So, Miss Lisa, what is the ideal audience for this book?
It's really anybody who wants to be more creative. Certainly people who like to journal or are just curious about what journaling can do for them. Maybe they've heard about the health benefits. Maybe they have other friends who journal and say how helpful it is to them. It can help you. Journaling is shown to improve your health and help with healing, but also to tap people's creativity. And a lot of doctors are recommending journaling now. There's some evidence-based medicine about the power of journaling for our health.
Yes, highly recommended. What makes this journal different from other writing guides?
Well, I would say that for one thing, it's easy and quick, right? Everybody has 8 minutes a day. And for another, because there are these videos and audios, it makes it really interactive. So sometimes people are intimidated by the blank page. And here you can start with a little video or audio that uplifts you, gets you into a great space, and you can feel inspired by the other people that are speaking in the video. Sometimes it's just a bunch of different people who are answering the prompt. Other times it might be a New York Times bestselling author like Jacqueline Michard. So it really varies. And it also makes you feel part of a community that includes, people just out of college and people who've been writing for years and even New York Times bestselling authors. So it's a nice mixture of people from all walks of life who are excited about sharing the joys of journaling and writing with each other.
Definitely. And we salute you, Miss Lisa, to providing this kind of book. So, how does the 8 minute approach benefit writers?
Well, for one thing, it's doable, right? I think a lot of times people make these promises to themselves that they're going to write every day, but then they don't find the time for it. So this is so short, it's much easier to find the time. But also sometimes it's hard to get started. And this way of making a list and getting started from that makes it easy because everybody can make a list. And then you pick something, you don't just have one thing, but you can pick whatever really does inspire you on that list. So it's a really nice way to get into the writing process or the creative process with ease, and and because it has these videos and audios, I think also people say that they get more out of it. It's more fun, it's more inviting, and they feel part of something bigger than themselves. And the book has won a whole bunch of awards, including the Nautilus Award, the Ben Franklin Award, the Independent Publisher Award. So I think, and the Living Now Book Award and the National Indie Excellence Award. So it's won a lot of awards, and I think that shows too that uh, that people in the industry really found that this was a book that stands out and really offers something special.
Miss Lisa Tener again, congratulations!
Thank
We're
you.
proud of you. We are looking for more empowering books like that. So, what types of prompts are included in the journal?
So there are these list making prompts, and then there are also prompts that, have you listen to a guided visualization where you meet your muse or you visit your inner garden and kind of discover an inner world that can transport you to a creative space whenever you want. So some of these are things you can do over and over again and have a new experience every time. Also, this is the expanded edition, which is, the one I suggest buying. And the expanded edition has also, at the end of a month of 30 prompts, then it helps you to create your own prompts. So you create 30 more prompts of your own, and then you can answer your own prompts. And I've had people go on, like using this book, they actually can create their own journal for themselves or even a journal that they want to sell. So you can go very quickly from being a reader and writer to being an author and creating your own journal, for yourself, but also for others that you can sell. So that's really fun too. And I think makes it unique in how empowering it is.
So, Miss Lisa, how does the journal encourage daily writing habits?
Well, first of all, it's very easy to see what the steps are, right? And you schedule it in your calendar as it tells you to. And then there's a planning page. So every week, first of all, there's a summary. You can go to the Facebook group Write and Create with Lisa Tener on Facebook, and that's a place where you can find community. And of course, community can help with the accountability to write daily. And then it offers you the opportunity to list things that happened during the week that you can write about, and as well as a planning page where you plan out for each week what time you're going to write, what day you're going to write, and whether you completed the prompt. So you can check it off. And there's something really beneficial about having that kind of specificity. Because if we say, oh, I'm going to write on Saturday, or I'll write Saturday morning, that's not the same as a very specific time. I'm writing Saturday morning from 9 to 9:08, right? 8 minutes. And putting that in your calendar, whether it's a calendar on your and an alarm, maybe even on your phone, or it could be just a paper calendar. When you wake up and you look at your calendar, what am I doing today? But it's there and you've committed to it. And then you can be part of this Facebook group where you're sharing that accountability and saying, I wrote today. You might even share something about what you wrote, but you don't have to. So it's a great way to really have support and community through a book.
For sure. You will be inspired to write, people. So, how does the joy of writing journal help overcome writer's block?
Well, I think, again, the blank page is challenging for people, and sometimes that in itself creates a bit of a block. So, the Joy of Writing Journal takes that away by helping you get that list started or just get inspired. You respond to a prompt that's easy and engaging. And so that's part of it. I think also that piece of feeling connection with people often helps people unblock. And then specifically, some of the practices are really great with that as well. And they are in a certain order, but if you said, gee, I don't feel that inspired by day 3, let me go to day 17, you can do that. You can move around in it too, and that can sometimes help if you're feeling a little bit blocked with a certain prompt. Although for the most part, I hear from people that these prompts really unblock them very effectively. And then, by creating this daily practice and having it not take too much time, it gets people into a certain momentum where you have this success and success and success each day. And so you get into this habit of writing. And 8 minutes a day is not that demanding. So it makes it pretty easy to be consistent.
So, Miss Lisa, how do the prompts encourage emotional and personal reflection?
Well, I think that I really worked at giving people prompts that are very accessible and that you can kind of go as deep as you want emotionally. So it doesn't force you to go to a deep place, but there's that invitation that you can. And by making a list of 5 things or 10 things, you'll probably find that certain ones will take you deep emotionally. Others can be a little bit more on the surface, and you can really choose, how deep do I want to go today? And like on a day where you say, you know what, I have a little more time today, I have 20 minutes, let me go deeper emotionally. Let me try this particular, in my list of 10, let me try number 8, which was going to take me a little deeper emotionally. So you have that opportunity to make that decision when it feels right for you.
Does the journal provide guidance on developing storytelling skills?
So I wouldn't say it specifically does, but I think it does kind of walk you in that direction, because I give a little introduction to each prompt and do some very brief storytelling, right? Because this is a journal, so there's not a lot of backstory in here, but there's always a little something that I share from my life, and I think that sets a tone and gives people an invitation for them to do the same and tell a story, right?
Definitely. So, Miss Lisa, what would be your advice for those people out there who want to write their daily routine in writing?
Well, a couple things. One is really figure out how you're going to do it. What's the time of day? How are you going to get that accountability and support? And it could be a community like my Write and Create with Lisa Tener on Facebook. It's free. But how do you find that community? How do you find accountability? It could be a class. I do offer classes as well. And I do have classes, for instance, called Get Your Writing Done, where people come and we get into a creative flow state by doing some movement. And I know we're going to talk about the next book, but that's more about getting into that uh, creative flow state using mindful movement and breath. So we do some of that, and having a class like that where you have that guidance to get into that space and some very specific time where you're on the group call with others and writing can be very powerful. And I always provide prompts in that group as well, although most people are working on their books, so they have their outline of their book to work on. But some people love the prompts and they just go for the prompts. Um, but, really getting it scheduled, really being clear what time of day, every single day you're going to write is also helpful. And having somebody you're accountable to, whether it's a coach, a friend, somebody you're writing with, or somebody you just contact every day to say, hey, I did it. Maybe you're both working on different projects, but you're accountable to each other. So those are some ways to really keep it accountable. And there's a little bit of an exploration there too, figuring out what are the times for you that you're most productive. Some people, they just can't do evenings, and other people like can't do mornings. So it's knowing what works for you.
Yes, people, tune in next week. Miss Lisa and I, we're gonna talk breathe, right, breathe. So tune in next week. So, Miss Lisa, what are your short-term and long-term goals in writing?
Well, short term, this is kind of a short term and long term goal, I would say. But this year, I'm planning to do a lot of work with my poetry. I've written thousands of poems, and not all of them are in my computer yet. So I need to get them on the computer, but I'm also going to be working with a mentor to help me with my poetry. So I'm really excited about that because, I'm writing nonfiction books, and most of the authors I work with are writing nonfiction, whether they're writing memoir or a how-to or self-help or health books or business books. So the poetry is something that's always been close to my heart. Um, and now I'm finally taking that step, and it's exciting to try something new. And so that's one of my goals, and one that I'm pretty enthused
Good luck.
about.
Good luck to your goals, Miss
Thank you.
Lisa. And can you be my guest on Abstract Poetry? I have another podcast. Abstract Poetry, I do read poetry. So you will
Oh,
be my guest and
I would
read.
love to.
Let's read your poetry. So, how can writers integrate this journal into their daily routine?
Well, I love to journal first thing when I wake up in the morning. And the way I journal is I recall my dreams. So as soon as I wake up, even before I open my eyes, I try to recall what I dreamt that night. And I jot down some notes about it, or I kind of recreate the dream in my mind, and then I write it down in my journal. And then I might dialogue with the dream character, or I might make some notes about what I think it might mean in my life, or I might just write some poems based on the dream. And so that's a lot of fun, and it often leads to additional ideas. It might lead to a book idea. It could lead to something that goes in a book that I'm working on, and or might lead to a blog post even. So it's a wonderful way for me to get started. If you've got the joy of writing journal, that's probably even easier because you don't have to remember your dreams. You just take out the journal and watch the video or listen to the audio. And respond to the prompt. You don't have to watch the video or listen to the audio. You could just do the prompt too. And so, especially if you don't have much time that morning, I mean, the videos are certainly very short. They're like a minute or two. But if you want to just go right ahead and start with a prompt, you can do that too.
Can the journal be used alongside other writing projects?
It absolutely can. And actually, interestingly, I have people in my Get Your Writing Done program who have used my prompts to get them started. And once you get started writing, there's an ease there. And so you can go right from the journal prompt right into, let's say, a chapter you're working on in a book that you're writing or an article for your blog. And it's amazing how the imagination works and our creativity works, because we're always looking to make connections between things. And so I think what people often find is there's a prompt about listening, and the person hears a bird out their window, and they were thinking, now, how do I take this information that's in chapter 3 and really turn that into a story that leads into this information? And that actually is one of the prompts that one of the writers in my class was working with. And she said, oh, I can't believe it, I was working on this chapter, I didn't know how to get into it with a story, and your prompt gave me a story. So sometimes it works really magically, and that's always fun. But it might not be as direct. It might be that it just gets you writing, and it gets you in that creative space. And then you can turn yourself over to your book where you might have felt a little stuck. You talked about writer's block before. You might have felt like, oh, I'm not sure where to go next. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, I'm already on a roll. Let me go to the book. And, I've got my outline here. Boom. And you hit the ground running. So that can be really helpful. And, that reminds me of another tip. You had asked again about writer's block. And, sometimes one of the best things is to just redirect. So you're working on chapter 1, and now it's time for chapter 2, and you look at chapter 2 and you feel like, oh, I'm just not inspired. If you have a good outline, you can say, well, where do I feel inspired? Chapter 5, I'm really feeling excited about. Let me work on that. If you've got a good outline, you don't have to write it in order. You can just go to where you feel really excited. And that is really a beautiful process.
Indeed, magical. How does the Joy Writing Journal help writers stay motivated?
Well, I would say, one is that you're producing something every day, and it's easy and it's fun. And you also get this input right from the video and audio. And so there's a way that those also get you in a really happy space, I think. And, people report that it, it keeps them motivated, keeps them excited about writing. And, that's, I think, one of the keys is if you're excited about writing, you're going to do it more, right? You're going to stick with it. And so I've really highly recommend using a tool like this if you want to create a lifetime habit. And this can help you write every day. And there are people who say you're not a writer if you don't write every day, or you have to write every day. And it's just not true. I've had times where I didn't write for a few weeks even, but then I have times where I'm writing for hours a day, right? And writing multiple poems and chapters for books. And so it really, it's really more what works for you. And there's some people who really need to write every day, and so they should. And part of it is getting to know yourself and what works for you. So there's not just one way to be a writer. And just, if you're committed and you stick with it and you create tools for yourself, whether it's the Joy of Writing journal, whether it's a group or a class or a teacher, but ways to stay connected and stay committed. That's what you need. You need that commitment, you need accountability, you need support, and that really helps you. But most people, everybody's different, but for most people, that really is essential and really helps you. So figuring out what's the kind of guidance and support and commitment that you need, what's going to help you, and that's there are often some things that tend to help people, but you need to figure out what's going to work best for you.
Yes, stay connected, committed, and stop procrastinating, people. If you have the passion to write, write, and share to the world. Who knows, you will become Miss Lisa Tener, award-winning author. So to wrap up our discussion, Miss Lisa, what's the lasting benefits can writers expect from completing this journal?
Well, I would say one is just really believing in yourself. A lot of people have self-doubt, and I hear from a lot of people. I work through the whole journal, and I really feel like I can claim myself now as a writer. And people feel more connected to the habit of writing. Like, wow, I did this for a month, or I did it for 2 months with, my own prompts that had helped me write. And so then it's really empowering you to be able to now go out on your own and write every day. And, you can buy more prompts journals, or you can create your own prompts, or you can do what I do often and, journal with your dreams, or, just whatever comes to you in the mornings. But it will give you a certain confidence, and it will get you in a habit, and it's doable, right? I think sometimes people take on more than more than is doable at a certain time in their lives. So if you say, I'm going to write every day, all morning, that might be more than you can really do. And then it doesn't fit into your schedule, right? And then you just feel like a failure because it was just too much. So this is a great way to do something that's really doable and will really change your life. And I do hear from people who say it changed my life, and that is just so beautiful. And I put that out there because, yes, this journal can change your life, but also being a writer, you can change other people's lives. So just in the way that my writing might transform something for you and really bring your creativity to a whole new level, just by writing, you have that opportunity to do that for somebody else, whatever you write and whatever stories you have, whatever voice it's in, you can make a difference in other people's lives and have a huge impact.
You will make a difference, like Ms.Lisa Tener. Thank you so much for giving your award-winning piece to the world. And like I said, we are looking forward for more empowering books like that. So can you please invite our listeners to support all your books?
Sure. Well, you can find me at lisatener.com. You can also find me on Instagram at Lisa Tener Writes, and Twitter at Lisa Tener, Facebook, Write and Create with Lisa Tener. And here are the books. Amazon's probably the easiest place to get The Joy of Writing Journal, and Breathe, Write, Breathe. You can also get that on Amazon and wherever books are sold. There's a paperback and ebook of Breathe, Write, Breathe.
Yes, people, tune in next week because we're gonna talk about Write, Breathe, Write, Breathe. So, Miss Lisa, thank you for your time.
Thank you, Daniel. It's a pleasure being with you.
More to come, people. See you soon.